I'd like to think this is the way it's heading, is to become increasingly transparent.
Yes, but there are some serious limitations.
Absolutely. And you and I, we talk at great lengths about that and why we don't think that there should be radical transparency and you should have secrets. And I mean, agree with all of that. But if you ask your HR department or your lawyers what you can say, they're going to give you a inferior management response. And you shouldn't violate any kind of confidentiality that you can't give away. So we can't talk about exactly why we let this person go in this case, because it was an incident. We had this happen very recently at a place where we work, where somebody who had decades at the company vanished like a puff of smoke overnight. Now, you know, and I know why she vanished. And in the company of 100 people, maybe 4 other people do, 3 or 4 others. But her staff, which consisted of 25 people, they have no idea why she was there on a Thursday, put on leave on a Friday, and dismissed 2 Fridays later. She never came back to work. And they have no idea. And they'll never know because there was a confidentiality agreement signed that we're going to basically, they're going to let her go. She's going to be able to go on good terms and activate the pension, et cetera. Not fired for cause. She gets to resign. And on her end, she'll never talk about it. Never talk about the reason she was let go. Never talk about what happened. And that was mutual. And we had to facilitate a discussion with their 25 people because they're
worried about whether or not it's going to come for them. Again, like, there are things that you can't say, but there are things that you can say. So this person disappeared, and you can look at the staff and you can be like, listen, I can't tell you exactly what happened, but I will say they are in good standing and we would love to have them back.
Yeah, or they're in good standing and don't worry, there is absolutely no danger that this is happening to anybody else on the team. This is not the beginning of a lot of disappearances or whatever. You have to tell them something. I mean, we facilitated the conversation. When I facilitated the conversation, basically what I did is with the employees, I'm like, look, there's a confidentiality agreement protecting this exit on both sides. Both these people wanted to do that. And so let's do a little mental exercise and let's talk through all of the people who've left this company in the last 5 years. And it's only 100 people. And so we did that exercise. So we made a list, and there were probably, 16, 14, 15, something like that. A little bit more than 10 people. Not a ton. It's a relatively low turnover place, or a very low turnover place, I should say. And then for each person, there was a reason. Spouse got a job.
Went and got a degree and did something else. Yeah.
Yeah. And so basically it was like, is there anything on this list that strikes you as scary? No. Then what are the odds for this one? Well, not scary. And you let them draw, there's 100 ways you can.
I like that exercise.
Yeah. There's 100 ways you can skin the cat, where basically for all the others, you know why. This one, you're not going to know. Why? Both parties signed a confidentiality. And I know that's going to send you to talking because that's normal. That's what people do. You go, what happened? What did you hear? Did you hear whatever did you hear? And when you look at the span of recent history in this company doesn't disappear people. This just happened. Draw your own conclusions. But basically we can surmise that there was a reason, and that this doesn't portend us waking up in a month and somebody else being disappeared, with the chance being, obviously people's main concern that I'm going to get disappeared.
The anxiety in that moment is really, what does this mean for me?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what you're trying to address.
And I don't dislike lawyers. When you need them, you really need them. But their training.
Your sister is one.
And my sister is one. Yep. And their training is to say, no, you can't say that. And you cannot manage by lawyer and by HR. You have people you need to talk to, and within the limits of what you can say, you need to give people answers to reasonable questions. I get completely irritated by all the things HR won't let you do. And it's a detriment to managing. And I'm not anti-HR. I had a job as HR for a while. And companies need systems and processes. I understand that. But I can't talk about it is never an answer for a manager. You talk about all the things you can talk about to your people.
Right. And so gossiping for social bonding, that isn't actually a problem, right? Like, we're okay with people social bonding over gossip as long as it doesn't have a negative outcome. Like, as long as you're not bonding in hatred to somebody else who works in the organization.
Yeah. Or it's not creating countercultural values.
I think that's a good point. So for those two reasons, countercultural and coming at somebody else's expense. And so if you're seeing that it's skewing towards the negative, then, one of the remedies is help them actually bond. Do other things that people can bond over. And so it may be more like social outings with the organization where you're making sure that like a mix of people, especially the people who are gossiped about, are present and protected enough where other people can start bonding with them. Because we find that when people actually start interacting with these people who have been like the source for the gossip, that gossip goes down.
Yeah, as the knowledge goes up.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, making an effort not to create the environment, but also making an effort to try to make it easier for the other people in the organization to bond with that person also helps to reduce some of the gossip that is going on. Things like putting them on the same team where they had the same goal.
Yeah,
that's a binding component that supersedes. And so like it helps like the social bonding.
Yeah.
So if you're not going to actually do something on those social events to help that person social bond, what's going to happen is the same old people are going to show up and they're going to stay in the same old groups.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And we see this all the time in rural hospitals because
anywhere.
Well, but especially rural hospitals, rural communities. It's very hard to be the newcomer.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important thing you can do to bind people together, to bond them, to have them be cohesive, is to actually have them work together. Shared goal, meaningful work.
I agree with that. I think you also have to look at the layout of where people are doing the majority of their work. So if you're people who are isolated socially, are remote in terms of like the layout of the office, another option is to move them.
Yeah, we were part of a company a number of times in our career where they move. And so they are getting new headquarters, they're changing office buildings. And it disrupts. You actually measured once in a fire department when they shifted everybody's daily work, where you show up to work. And there's a period of time where everybody's old behaviors, the old people they talk to, if they go back to that.
Right. I was in there 6 months after they did that. And like I couldn't make heads or tails out of the charts. And then we got in the room and they're like, because they could see it, because they're like, oh yeah, those are all the people who used to work together. But there's also a lot of research that says if somebody is on a different floor or more than 50 feet away, I mean, I might not have the 50 feet right, but it was like, if they're over that, they might as well be in Paris and you in the US because like, you're just not, like, you just talk to the people who are immediately around you.
Yeah, we had an organization that we worked for that went from an office building that was, low slung, single story and wide, to a 2-story. And they put basically one of their teams on the top, one on the bottom. And within 6 months, they weren't talking to each other. Like, kind of where this podcast came from is a lot of times managers ask us how to tamp it down, gossip. How do we tamp down this gossip? And our basic view, in line with the reasons that we laid out here, is generally gossip is good. It's a healthy sign of an organization trying to talk its way through curveballs and points of confusion.